Welcome back to Elevated, the podcast that delivers actionable insights in snackable 5-minute episodes. I'm Brandy Lawson, and in this episode, we're going to be highlighting one of the most stressful moments in business, that panicked realization that you have to change the software you're using. But what if these moments of crisis could become opportunities for strategic decision-making instead? Not too long ago, a client called me in a bit of a panic, telling me, our Slack renewal is $95,000 in 7 days. Should we switch to something else? That small messaging tool they'd started using years ago had grown into the price of a full-time employee, and suddenly they were facing a decision they'd never planned to make. And I know she's not alone. Many growing businesses encounter the day when that manageable software subscription becomes a significant business expense. What I am particularly proud of is that this client was working to shift a crisis moment into an opportunity for strategic evaluation by reaching out to an expert for help and guidance. Software replacement decisions typically fall into 3 categories: forced decisions, friction point decisions, and proactive considerations. This firm was experiencing a forced decision. The renewal cost had become prohibitive, and they had just 7 days to figure out their next move. Forced decisions happen when software is no longer supported, becomes too expensive, or breaks down entirely. Friction point decisions emerge when systems become obviously painful or burdensome. And then proactive considerations, like we saw in last week's architecture design software story, happen when businesses systematically evaluate their tools before problems arise. In this Slack situation, her initial instinct was to focus on the price tag, find something cheaper, fast. But that approach would have missed the more important questions. The real question isn't what costs less, it's is the current solution worth its cost? With over 70 clients, 15 to 20 team members, and all their vendors communicating through one platform, the value equation for this tool extended far beyond subscription fee. What would be the cost of switching? How would migration affect client relationships? What would be the time investment required? Using our framework, they walk through the 5 evaluation factors: problem significance, solution fit, cost-benefit analysis, potential impact, and implementation planning. What initially felt like an overwhelming crisis became an objective decision-making process. Their evaluation was more than just choosing between Slack and alternatives. They were examining how communication flowed through their entire business. Google Chat offered cost savings, but a different client experience implication. ClickUp Chat provided internal team functionality, but might not fit external client communication expectations. Keeping Slack meant accepting the higher cost, but they could maintain their established workflows. Using the Fiery Effects framework, they decided on a hybrid approach nobody had initially considered. They could use Slack for client communications where relationship continuity mattered most, while implementing ClickUp Chat for internal team and vendor coordination. This solution addressed both cost concerns and operational effectiveness. Reaching out for expert help didn't just solve their immediate Slack dilemma. They established a decision-making framework for future software evaluations. The next time costs spike or their needs change, they won't be starting from panic mode. And this won't be the last frantic phone call I get, because the most common mistake businesses make with software decisions is waiting until circumstances force immediate action. Nobody plans extra time or bandwidth for unexpected software emergencies. When decisions become urgent, there's rarely adequate time, attention, or energy for thoughtful evaluation. Proactive software assessment means having the luxury of intentional decision-making. Instead of scrambling to find alternatives under pressure, businesses can systematically evaluate their tools when there's time to consider all applications and explore creative solutions. As companies expand, the systems that initially served them well often require adjustment. This isn't a failure. It's a natural evolution. The question becomes how to navigate these transitions strategically rather than reactively. Unless you're in the business of software, you aren't making these kinds of decisions regularly. Using our framework transforms software evaluation from emotional response to objective analysis. When decisions arise from panic or frustration, important considerations often get overlooked. A systematic evaluation ensures that all relevant factors receive the attention they need. If you were to examine your current list of software in use, what might you discover? Are there subscriptions that have grown significantly over time? Tools that served you well initially but may no longer align with your current needs? Systems that work adequately but might not be optimal for where your business is heading? The framework worksheet at fireeffects.com/choose contains the systematic approach that helped this firm navigate their Slack decision successfully. Whether applied proactively or in response to changing circumstances, this structured evaluation can transform overwhelming software decisions into confident strategic choices. Doing a proactive software assessment allows you to identify optimization possibilities before they become urgent problems. Usually, the best software decisions happen when there's no immediate pressure to change, when businesses can thoughtfully consider whether their current tools truly serve their evolving needs. Next week, we'll explore how AI is changing the software landscape and what that means for your evaluation process. Because in a world where new capabilities emerge constantly, the ability to assess and adapt your software toolkit becomes a competitive advantage for any industry.